So, have you ever been in a construction site? Did you notice that there are different structures that makes a building stand? What would happen if you will remove a specific structure to the building? Would it still be able to stand alone? Or there would be chaos and destruction? And that has something to do for lesson for today, because today we'll be discussing about structure and order.
So hello guys, I am Teacher Mark, and for today's video, we'll be discussing a new topic in which I believe would be very useful and as well as it would be very fun to learn. So, are you ready to learn? If that's a yes, let's learn.
So welcome back guys. Here we are. So for today's topic, I'll be introducing you to Prhase structure. But before that, allow me to make a special mention. I would like to mention my teacher, Sir Paul T. Gianan, for allowing me to use his PowerPoint presentation for today's video. Thank you, sir. So without further ado, let's discuss introduction to Prhase structure. So, what is Prhase structure? Prhase structure is the hierarchical arrangement of the constituent words and phrases of a sentence. Sir, what is constituent words, sir? So don't worry, we'll be discussing that later on. For now, it's good that we are now able to define what is Prhase structure. But for us to fully understand what is Prhase structure, we'll be needing the help of a Prhase structure tree. So you might be wondering, is this tree the literal tree that we see in our environment? Actually, no, because this Prhase structure tree is an explicit graphic representation on how language is structured. So I'll be giving you an example so that you will be able to see what the Prhase structure tree looks like. So this is an example of Prhase structure tree. Oh, I see, sir. So what is its purpose, sir? So actually, Prhase structure tree represents three aspects of a speaker's syntactic knowledge. Number one is the linear order of these words in the sentence. So as you can see here inside the green box, that is actually the linear order of the words in the sentence. The second one, the Prhase structure tree is it allows to identify the syntactic categories of the words and group of words. So basically, it categorizes the different constituents or the words of or the group of words in a sentence. And the third one, the hierarchical structure of the syntactic categories. So basically, Prhase structure tree shows us the hierarchical structure of a syntactic category. And there you have it. That is the Prhase structure tree. So sir, basically, what is the use of phrase structure tree? So it gives us an overview. It shows us the hierarchical structure of the words or the group of words or the different constituent present in a sentence. So moving on, we have the phrase structure rules. So what is phrase structure rules? It is a set of rules that generate a sentence or other syntactic construction from words and phrases and identify its constituent structure. So it is a set of rules that generates a sentence or other syntactic construction from words, as we can see on the previous example in which I've shown you. There are specific syntactic construction of words, and as well as there are a specific category of constituents present in the sentence. So phrase structure rules usually take this following form. As we can see here, we have A, and which is divided into B and C. So actually, this means that the constituent A, which we have here, wait, allow me to show you. So the constituent A that we can see here is separated into two sub-constituents B and C. So that is how the phrase structure rules usually take form. So a constituent is a structural piece of a sentence, phrase, or clause. So for our example, we have here is the NP. And that is an example of constituent. So actually, NP means a noun phrase, in which it is divided into two sub-constituents. And there we have A and N. But what does A and N stands for? Actually, those are adjective and a noun. Based on the given sentence, example sentence, we have green ideas. That entire sentence is considered as a noun phrase. Green is an adjective. Therefore, it is categorized as an adjective. While N is a noun, that is why it is categorized as N, which represents a noun. So here are the following terms that we'll be using later on. So if you would like to take a screenshot, I will give you a time to take a clear screenshot. However, this will be posted on your Google Classroom so that you'll have a basis later on, because later on we'll be creating our very own phrase structural tree. So there we have it. Those are the phrase structure terms that we'll be using, so that you won't be unfamiliar later on as we dwell into our topic for today. So now let us discuss the basic phrase structure rules. There are different types of phrase structure rules, but however, we'll be just focusing on 4 rules. And these 4 rules are the basic rules of phrase structure. And these rules are the one that we commonly use every day, but we are not just able to notice it. But these 4 rules are very useful, and as well as it would help us to construct a correct sentence, and as well as improve us as an English language speaker or teacher. So, are you ready? Let's begin! So, the first rule that we have is one of the most basic structure rules that we have in phrase structure. And that is the sentence, which is divided into subject and predicate. So for the first structure rule that we have is what they call the subject and predicate, or sentence, which is divided into two sub-constituents, which is the subject and the predicate, are also known as noun phrase and verb phrase. So what we have here is a sample sentence. So it is read as, surely Emmylou Harris sings country music. So there we have it. That's the first structure rules we have. So let's try to dissect or categorize each word. So this letter S here represents the whole sentence. And the whole sentence is divided into two constituents. First off, we have is the word surely, in which it is categorized as SM, which means sentence modifier, because the purpose of this word is to modify the sentence. And the other sub-constituent is the sentence itself, which is divided again into two sub-constituents, which is the noun phrase and the verb phrase. The noun phrase, which contains the noun, is pertaining to the word Emmylou Harris, which is the noun in the sentence, while on the other sub-constituent, which is the verb phrase, it refers to the verb present in the sentence, and which is the word sings country music. So that is our first basic structure rules. So there you have it. Again, the sentence is divided into subject and predicate, also known as sentence, as noun phrase and verb phrase. So let's try to answer, or let's try to create a phrase structural tree using this example. The house stands in the field. So here we have the S, or the sentence itself. So let's try first analyzing the first two words, the house. So therefore, house is a noun, so therefore it will fall under, of course, the noun phrase. And this one here could be the predicate in the sentence. So therefore, it would be our verb phrase, in which the noun phrase, the sentence, would be the house. And the verb phrase, our sentence, would be stands in the field. So there you have it. That is our first basic structure rules in phrase structure. The second structure rules is we have the noun phrase, which is noun phrase is divided into determiner and a noun. So let's have a short review. So what is the determiner? Determiner is a word that determines the noun in the sentence. So in this case, in the sample sentence that we have, what we have here is the word the dog. So again, S, which represents the sentence itself, and it is divided into two constituents, But however, in this case, there are no verb phrase, reminding us the structure rules of the noun phrase. So, noun phrase is divided into two subconstituents, which is the determiner and the noun. So what would be the determiner for our sentence, for a sample sentence? Of course, that would be the dog. And the noun in our noun phrase would be the dog, of course. So there you have it, our second basic structure rules, the noun phrase. So we have here a sample sentence which is dogs. On the first phrase structural tree, we have is the S, or which represent the sentence itself. Again, it's divided into two subconstituent. But again, there are no verb phrase. We'll be just focusing on the noun phrase. Since that there are no determiner present in the sentence, this is labeled as 0. However, but we have a noun, therefore we label it as a noun. But what is this? What is this subconstituent here? That is actually referring to the noun. That is actually referring to the form of the noun present in the sentence. The PL here actually means plural because it pertains to the form of the noun present in the sentence. So here on our next phrase structural tree, we can see here that the determiner is removed since there are no determiner present in the sentence. Therefore, we only have one constituent, which is a noun, which is a dog, and it is classified. And it is identified what form does it take. So the noun is in plural form. That's why we have here a PL. So again, let's try to create a phrase structure tree in this sample sentence, and it is a house. So let's begin. So the sentence is a noun phrase. So what would be our first step, our first word to analyze? That would be the A. So what is A? That's correct. So I know you're thinking. So yes, that is a determiner. And now for the next word we have is the house. What would be its classification or its category or its corresponding constituent in our phrase structure tree? Remember the rule. Of course, that would be the noun. And write it down. There we have it. So that is the second basic structure rule in our phrase structure. But sir, what if in the noun phrase the subject is pronoun? Well, if that's the case, all we have to remember is pronouns will still be a part of the noun phrase. So for example, we'll be using the pronoun they. So they will be still a part of the noun phrase, and it will be written just like this. So it is the noun phrase, and under the noun phrase its subconstituent pronoun, and that would be the word they. So, for our next example, I know that there are lots of constituents present in the noun phrase, but let's try to dissect the phrase structure tree. So, as you can see, there are a lot of constituents under the noun phrase. Actually, this type of structure refers to a specific rule in phrase structure, but we won't be dwelling in that specific rule because we'll be focusing more on the basics. So what we have here, the sample sentence is all the other famous singers of today. So let's start off first with the sentence itself, which is divided into two sub-constituents. We have the noun phrase and the verb phrase. Since that there are no verb in the sentence, we'll be focusing more on the noun phrase, which is the topic of the second basic rule, basic structural rule. So we have at least three determiner present in the sentence, and those are the words all, the, and other. So these three determiners are focusing on the noun, or it determines the noun present in the sentence. And as you can see, there is also an adjective phrase, which we'll be discussing later on. But just for now, let's just simplify it, because at this part we'll be focusing more on the noun phrase. And the adjective here modifies the noun, in which the noun is categorized or classified in the plural form, and followed by a prepositional phrase, in which the preposition is of the word of, and another noun phrase, our second noun phrase, which is the word today. So as you can see, all those words have different uses or different purpose in the sentence, and those words are very important, and as well as identifying what classification, what constituent those words are very important in phrase structure. So for the third rule we have here is the adjective phrase. So this is the part where things get a little bit interesting. So adjective phrase, it can consist of different constituents. As we can see here, we have the ADV, which means adverb or the adjective, and followed by an adjective perhaps. And then we can see here an enclosed prep P, or it literally means prepositional phrase, which is followed by an NP, or as we all know it is a noun phrase. So that is the basic structure rule for an adjective phrase. So what we have here is an example: the iridescent flame. So without further ado, let's try to dissect the sentence itself. So again, let's start first with a noun phrase. So the noun phrase is divided into two subconstituent parts, and there we have the determiner, which is the word the, and an adjective phrase, in which the adjective is the word iridescent and the noun praise, which is the flame. If we're going back to the rule, structure rule, we have here is the adjective. Here's the adjective. And the noun phrase, in which this is the noun phrase. So that is the basic structure rule for the adjective phrase. Now, let's try to create a phrase structure tree for this sample sentence. An overflowing bucket. Now, try to remember the rules. So let's start first by identifying what is the constituent. The first constituent, we have the first word, that is an "an." So "an" would be, of course, the determiner, because again, it determines the noun present in the sentence. Therefore, it's a determiner. So the next one we have is the, of course, that is the adjective phrase. And we're going to dissect it into two sub-constituents. So we have overflowing, which is the adjective present in the sentence. And the next one, we have the bucket, which literally means that is the noun phrase present in the sentence. So that's it. So that is the adjective phrase, sample of adjective phrase. But let's try to study this second sample. So the brightly iridescent flame. As you can see that there is an adverb added to the sentence. So let's try to again analyze the sentence itself. So we have here is the noun phrase, in which again it is divided into two sub-constituents. We have the determiner and the adjective phrase. Under the adjective phrase, we'll be dividing it again into different sub-constituents because there are different words present in the sentence and each word has different category or corresponding constituent. So the first word, the second word we have is brightly, and brightly is an adverb. So therefore, it has a specific constituent, which is the adverb phrase, because the word brightly modifies the adjective iridescent. So the next one in the adjective phrase, we have the adjective itself, which is the iridescent, followed by the noun phrase, which is the flame. Now going back to our rule, again, if you can remember, there we have the adverb, the adjective, and the noun phrase. Let's go back. But what if there's another adverb added to the sentence? So again, let's try to analyze the phrase structure tree. Again, there we have NP, but there's a superscript that says number 1 because there are now two noun phrase present in the sentence. So let's start first by analyzing the word the. So the word the is again our determiner, and we have the rest, which is the very brightly iridescent flame. which falls under the adjective phrase. Now, the adjective phrase is divided into different subconstituents, which categorizes the word brightly, which is the adverb phrase, in which we have the adverb 1, which is the very, and it is labeled so. And the second adverb we have is the brightly. And going back, we have here the main adjective, which is the iridescent, and the noun phrase, the second noun phrase, which refers to the word flame. And again, let's try to go back to the rule. So as we can see here, that an adverb is raised, has a PN beside it, because that actually means that an adverb can be used into the nth time to modify an adjective or a noun in the sentence. So an adjective phrase might contain an adverb that can be used into the nth time to modify the adjective or the noun present in the sentence. So again, let's go back. So let us try to analyze the structure of this sentence. So let's start first by this noun phrase, which has a subscript at number 1, which means that it is the first noun phrase that we have in the sentence. And here we have the word the, which is the determiner in the sentence. And then we have the adjective phrase. And under the adjective phrase, there are different constituents present. But let's tackle first the adverb phrase. So this adverb basically modifies the adjective present in the sentence. And adverb phrase is divided into two subconstituents because there are two adverbs present in the sentence. So there we have very and brightly, which is our adverb 1 and adverb 2. The next we have is the adjective. In the adjective phrase is the adjective itself, which is the word iridescent. And next, the adjective phrase, under the adjective phrase, is our second noun phrase, which is the word flame. And then it is followed by another subconstituent, which is a prepositional phrase. And then the prepositional phrase is divided into two subconstituents, in which the preposition, which is the word of, and a third noun phrase, which is the word Olympus. Now, try to remember the rule of the structural rule of the adjective phrase. Let's try to go back. Wait for a while. But before that, let's try to create a phrase structure tree using this sample sentence. The really very nice clothes of the lady. So as you can see, as you can imagine, there are lots of things that going on here. But let's start first by analyzing the first subconstituent of our noun the first one we have is the word the, which act as the determiner present in the sentence. Next that we have is the main adjective phrase, the sentence, in which it is divided into different subconstituents. Again, we have the adverb phrase because there are two adverbs that modifies the adjective, modifying the noun in the sentence. And the next part we have is the adjective itself, which is the word nice, and which is followed by our second noun phrase, which is the word cloth, in which it is categorized as a plural form. And next we have is the prepositional phrase, which refers to the word of Olympus. There we have the preposition of, and then another noun, or the third noun phrase present in the sentence, which is the word Olympus. And there we have it. That is the basic structure rule for the adjective phrase. So if you can see, let us just have a short review. So we have here the adverb, in which it can be used to the nth time to modify the adjective or the noun phrase present in the sentence. And then we have the adjective and the prepositional phrase, which can be optional if there is a preposition in the sentence. And there we have the noun phrase. So that would be the basic structure rule for the adjective phrase. And now for our third structure rule, basic structure rule, we have here is the prepositional phrase, in which it consists of a preposition and a noun phrase. So for example, we have here is the sentence of the universe. So let's try to analyze the sentence itself. So of course, that is a prepositional phrase. So here we have is the prepositional phrase. And the prepositional phrase is divided into two subconstituents, which is the preposition and the noun phrase. And of course, our preposition would be the word of, and then it would be the next constituent would be the noun phrase, in which the next word we have is the, which will act as the determiner in the sentence. And next is the noun itself, which is the universe. And again, that's it for our third basic structure rule, which is the prepositional rule, which we have is a preposition and a noun phrase. So here we have the fourth basic structure rule that we're going to learn for today, and that is the verb phrase, in which it consists of a verb and a noun phrase, specifically two noun phrase. So we have here the sample sentence: the lion chases the deer. So let's try to analyze the sentence itself. So the sentence is divided into two subconstituents, the noun phrase, and the verb phrase. So we have here labeled number 1 because they are the first noun phrase in the sentence. So first off, we have is the noun phrase is divided into 2 sub-constituent, in which the word the is the determiner and the lion is the noun, the first noun phrase. And then under the verb phrase is divided into different sub-constituents. First off is the word chase. So as we all know, the word chase is a verb, but we can see here in unfamiliar term. So actually this means it pertains to the verb. Just like what we did on the noun phrase, we should also classify the verb present in the sentence. So therefore, the purpose of the word chase in the sentence is actually an auxiliary verb, and it is under the present tense. So that is what PR means. It is in present tense because the word is chases. And then again, the second noun phrase that we have in the sentence, which is the determiner. We have the determiner the, and the second noun, which is the deer. Again, if we're going to take a look at the basic structure rule in verb phrase, here we have the verb and 2 noun phrases. So as we can see here is the verb, and here are the 2 noun phrases. We have the noun phrase number 1 and we have the noun phrase number 2. So again, here's an example of the verb phrase in which it is the sentence is divided into 2 sub-constituents again. We have the first noun phrase and then we have the verb phrase. The first noun phrase is divided into 2 sub-constituents, which is the determiner, which is the word the, and the noun, which is the dog, which again, that is the first noun phrase. And then the verb phrase, let's start with the word bark, which is the verb, and again, it is an auxiliary verb in present tense. This is the tense and this is the present tense. As we can see here in the sentence, the word is in the present tense, barks. And then under the verb phrase, we have the second noun phrase, and the second noun phrase is divided into 2 sub-constituents. We have here the determiner the, and the second noun, which is the man, which the sentence completes the phrase structure rule of the verb phrase, in which it has 2 noun phrase. This is 1, this is 2, and we have the verb. So as we can see here, we uses a copular verb, and that copular verb is the word are, because it is a verb that links the noun phrase and the adjective phrase. So in this part, it seems like there are a lot of things going on, because as you can see, there are different constituents. But let's try to break down and let's try to analyze the sentence bit by bit. So the sentence is, the teacher said that the student passed the exam. So let's start first by analyzing the first sentence, in which the first sentence is divided into two subconstituents. We have the first noun phrase and the first verb phrase, which we can see the label here. So for the noun phrase is divided into two subconstituents: the word the as the determiner and the word teacher as the noun. And for the verb phrase number 1, it is divided into different subconstituents, in which the teacher, or the word say, is an auxiliary verb, and its tense is in the past form, because as you can see here, said. Therefore, it is in the past form. And this sentence is linked by a copula, and here the word that is a copula. The copula connects the second sentence present. Under the second sentence, we have here is the second noun phrase and the second verb phrase. So under the second noun phrase, we have the determiner and the noun, which is the student. And then in the second verb phrase, it is divided into different constituents, which is the auxiliary verb, which is in past tense. As we can see here, the verb is in the past tense. Therefore, we should label it as past. And then followed by the third noun phrase that we have in the sentence, which is under two subconstituents. We have the determiner, and then we have is the third noun. So it seems like the sentence has a lot of going on, but if you're going to analyze each part, those parts refers to the basic structural rule of the verb phrase, in which we have the noun phrase. We have 1, 2, and 3, and then we have the verb phrase, which is here, evident here, and here. However, that happened because this is actually a two sentence combined with a copula. And so for this sample sentence, we have here, I am John and I will be the host tonight. So the sentence has, if we can see, has a two independent clause. So let's try to analyze the structure of the sentence itself. So here we have the sentence, and then it is divided into two constituents. So perhaps it is there are two independent clause. And for the first independent clause, we have the noun phrase, in which the word I is used. Therefore, I is a pronoun. Still, it will fall under the noun phrase. And then we have the verb phrase, in which we have the verb am, which is a be verb. And then next is we have the second noun phrase, which is the word John. And this independent clause is connected by a conjunction, which is the word and. And for the second independent clause that we have, it is divided into two subconstituents. And we have again the noun phrase, which is a pronoun because the word is I. And then the verb phrase, we have is the word be, which is an auxiliary verb and it possesses the tense, the future tense, will. And then it is followed by a noun phrase in which we have the determiner as the word, and then another noun phrase which is the host, and then an adverb phrase which is the word tonight. So if you can see, there are a lot of things going on in this sentence, but we must remember the structure rule of the verb phrase and then applying the other rule to help analyze the different structure present in a sentence. So that's it. Do you have any questions, clarifications, or comments? You can comment it down in the comment section down below and I'll be happy to answer it all. And so, for your quiz, all you have to do is to syntactically diagram the following sentences. She walks in beauty. My mother watched the broccoli, then she cut it into smaller pieces. Syntactically diagram means that you're going to create a phrase structure tree in order to syntactically diagram these following sentences. So here are the guidelines. Illustrate your diagram in a clean sheet of bond paper. Scan shot it in high resolution and hand it via Google Classroom. And it should not be pixelated, blurry, or too bright. And rename the file using your surname. Deadline is on or before 9 tonight, May 5, 2022.
And there you have it. That would be the end of our discussion for today. But before that, if you have any questions, comments, or queries, you can type it down in the comment section and I will be happy to answer all your questions or queries. And that's it. Goodbye, students. Happy learning!